a hospital in Gaza was pounced on with tremendous vigor by the Western media and the anti-Israel left. One thing we learned last night, the media implicitly trusts the information that's coming out of Gaza, fed to them by sources controlled by a terror group that beheads children. Journalistic arrogance is one thing, but last night was about as humiliating as it gets for the news business. The Palestinian Health Ministry, aka Hamas, telling the world that Israel dropped a massive bomb on a hospital filled with innocent civilians who were fleeing war. The largest broadcast organization in the world, the BBC, immediately trusted that and spread a story that came from Hamas without even doing any fact-checking. A story that was hugely beneficial to the terrorist network's propaganda machine. Take a listen to the BBC's John Donnison, and as you listen to this, keep in mind that he's reporting from 50 miles away in Jerusalem, away from all the action, and he's basically making up every single thing that he says.
But it's hard to see what else this could be, really, given the size of the explosion, other than an Israeli airstrike or several airstrikes, because, you know, when we've seen rockets being fired out of Gaza, we never see explosions of that scale.
So it's hard to imagine an explosion of this size, he says, coming from anywhere other than Israel. We heard that from multiple outlets in the wake of this explosion. The massive bombing of a hospital. It was so big, it was too big to be a Hamas rocket. Hamas is David. This bomb came from Goliath. Everything that you would expect to hear as the media tries to spin us into a world war for better ratings. From the Irish Times, Israel-Hamas war, hundreds feared dead and many trapped in rubble after strike on Gaza hospital. A hospital was leveled, they said. Nobody had seen this, but that's what their buddies at Hamas had told them 6 seconds after it happened, so it must be true. And with all of that, let's show you the scene as the sun came up this morning, when we discovered a hospital that was actually fully intact with a bombed out parking lot, that's for sure, maybe 10, 15 cars burnt to a crisp, but a hospital that was still fully intact, a couple blown out windows, but the building's still there. No 500 dead Palestinians, no collapsed hospital, no massive pile of rubble, no desperate search for survivors, certainly no indication of this huge Israeli bomb that our BBC fake reporters tried seeing. And that's because there was no huge bomb. The explosion that occurred was an errant missile that was fired from Gaza. You can see it here in this video. Remember, Israel has this entire area under constant surveillance. Hamas, either intentionally or unintentionally, blew up its own hospital parking lot. An intercepted conversation between two Hamas terrorists, recorded by Israeli intelligence and given to the media by the IDF, revealed a much more plausible explanation for what happened last night. It's the reality that anybody with a brain probably assumed all along. Take a listen.
بيحكوا ان الشظايا تبعت الصاروخ انه الشظايا محليه مش زي شظايا السيف بتلاقيهم طالعين من المقبره اللي ورا المستشفى المعمداني ديب اللي هو فصل نزل عليه.
Cemetery right behind the hospital. Now, Newsmax has not independently verified this conversation. It was given to us by the IDF. But let's take a look at the incentives of a bombing like this, and we're going to let you decide for yourself what you think is real in this moment. We've shown you all the evidence. Right now, Israel is desperate to hold on to public support. There are Western uprisings all over the world in support of the Hamas attacks against Israel. Israel's support in the U.S. has fallen sharply in recent years. The worst thing that could happen to Israel right now would be an atrocity that shows a moral equivalency between Hamas and the Israeli government. And that's exactly what a hospital bombing and 500 dead Palestinian refugees would do. The New York Times alleges they employ the best journalists in the world, and somehow the New York Times couldn't see any of this that you could see, and I could see, and everyone else could see. Let's look at the evolution of the Times headline in the last 24 hours, starting with Israeli strike kills hundreds in hospital, Palestinians say. Nope, dead wrong. Next, at least 500 dead in strike on Gaza hospital, Palestinians say.
But see, people see that and they believe it, they don't hear anything else.
It was intentional. and there certainly aren't 500 dead, so they change it again. At least 500 dead in blast at Gaza hospital, Palestinians say. Okay, we fixed the strike wrong, we're still at the 500 dead, but, you know, it's the New York Times, you're never going to get it fully right. Doesn't really matter at this point, though. The damage is already done. Massive protests, violence at the U.S. and French embassies in Lebanon, violence at the Israeli embassy in Turkey, and reinvigorated protests all over the world. Great news for Hamas. I mean, Hamas couldn't ask for better news than this. Protests everywhere, including right here in the United States, where the Squad has been using this fake hospital story to stir up the most despicable faction of people in this country, their own supporters. Here's Rashida Tlaib today. This is today, after we learned everything that really happened. Tlaib, in front of the Capitol, flat out lying about the hospital bombing as she attempts to vilify Israel and the Jewish people even further.
It's just continue to watch people think it's okay to bomb a hospital where children.
This woman is on.
Sometimes just watching those videos and the people telling me.
Please leave America.
And like let them cry.
I can't believe she's in our Congress.
That is a despicable human being.
Really?
Inside, outside, everywhere. Horrible. Fake tears over a fake story. You were led to believe that this large group of people protesting inside the Capitol today are Jews. The group is called Jewish Voice for Peace. They went in to basically try and stop Israel from doing anything else.
This is what I was talking about here
Hamas
before.
From Gaza. If you look closely, though, you're going to see a lot of people in this crowd, if we have a couple different shots here, who are wearing what are called taluses. You can see them if you look very closely. The white cloths that you see around some people's shoulders. Orthodox and more religious Jewish men wear those for morning prayer every single day. It's called a talus. But in Jewish culture, it is something that is very sacred. It is also very disrespectful to wear it in any situation if you are not praying, which these people clearly are not inside the Capitol praying, as they claim to be Jews fighting the occupation in Gaza and everything else. Had a lot of people wearing masks, various other things. Kind of looked more like a BLM rally in some ways than it did a Jews for Peace rally. We'll let you decide, though. Just showing you the facts. North Carolina Senator Ted Budd joins us now. Sir, it's good to have you on. We have members of Congress, you just saw one, who clearly hate Israel. They clearly hate the West. They're still pushing this ridiculous narrative after it's been debunked, even today. You know, the Squad, Ilhan, Rashida Tlaib for sure, completely exposing themselves in this moment. These people are dangerous.
Yeah, they really are. We need to have people in Congress, whether it's the House or the Senate where I am, that love our country and believe that this is an amazing anomaly for the last 247 years that we need to protect and preserve, and continue to send great people to Washington, D.C. that reflect the values of the rest of our country. Look, let's remember what Israel is. It's been one of our greatest allies in times that are good and times that are bad. They've stuck with us. We've stuck with them. We're going to continue to do so. We need to give them everything that they need to defeat Hamas.
Biden announcing $100 million in humanitarian aid today for Gaza, not for Israel. He has made our country such an easy mark. Take a listen to this.
Disgusting.
Today, I'm also announcing $100 million in new U.S. funding for humanitarian assistance in both Gaza and the West Bank. The aid should go to civilians, not to Hamas. Israel the humanitarian assistance can begin.
You're a piece of shit.
From Egypt to Gaza.
He's a real fucking
Let me be clear. If Hamas diverts or steals the assistance,
really, how are you going to stop
they will
them?
have demonstrated once again that they have
full
no
of shit.
concern for the welfare
Do
of
you
the
believe
Palestinian
this,
people.
man? I can imagine
Yeah,
what
the incompetence is incredible. Hamas always steals the aid for their own benefit. That's what they do. And here's Biden in this moment saying, let's throw another $100 million in aid, and hey, Hamas, if you do it again, well, then we're definitely now going to know that you're not nice people if you do it again. I mean, that's our president.
Look, I mean, Iran has been sending them for 10 or 15 years, been sending them missiles and training. That's what we know. We know that the ostensible humanitarian aid that's been sent to them through organizations, including the UN. They've ended up with guns in the trucks. The bag that says food actually has bullets and ammunition. They're not good actors. It's a guaranteed theft from the humanitarian purposes, and it will be used for illicit purposes, and it will be part of their continued state sponsoring of terrorism. It's an absolute...
And it's just another way for Biden to give $100 million of the taxpayers' money away to just put another fucking nail in the coffin of the United States of America.
Israel. Look at the 150 folks on the terrorist watch list that have come through our southern border. This is complete mismanagement, and you see more of that in the $100 million given to Gaza, which will go directly to Hamas.
I got to
A few
turn this
seconds
off.
left here, but Biden's speaking tomorrow at the White House, 8 p.m. He's going to demand more money for Ukraine and use the situation in Israel and the southern border to bait Republicans into what it could be like $100 billion in foreign aid funding. Your thoughts on this?
Look, Americans are generous people. We love coming to the aid of our allies, but we don't like doing it when we're very concerned about where the money's actually going to go and if there's somebody that can't manage well at the top on our side. That's our concern.
Well said. Senator, thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it.